Welcome back to another episode of Cape Ann Today with our favorite Gloucester Times reporters, Ethan Foreman and Stephen Hagan. How you guys? Stephen,
Well, thanks.
yeah, good. Rough week in Rockport. We have yet another.
Interesting news week. Yes, shall I begin?
Yeah, you go.
Um, yeah, we had a tragic death off the coast of Rockport Harbor in an area called the Dry Salvages. It's an area that it's an outcropping you can apparently see from the shore. Heather, I think you've said you've seen it before. Anyway, it's commonplace for divers, scuba divers, to go there and go down and investigate some of the rocks and the shoals of the shore, uh, the outcropping. Anyway, there has been at least one other death there a few years ago, I think 2019 or 18, and in the same area. This time it was a South Boston woman, Sarah Elizabeth Nivens. She was 40 years old. She was diving with a group of 10 people, part of the Cape Ann Diver 2, which is a Gloucester-based vessel. She was actually diving with her father, which is even more tragic. She was taken out of the water onto the boat. The dive crew was performing CPR on her when the harbor masters showed up, and they along with the Coast Guard guided her into the harbor. Then she was met by Rockport Fire and Rockport Ambulance and taken to first to Addison Wesley. No, Addison, yes,
Gilbert.
Addison. I'm sorry,
Addison Gilbert.
Addison Gilbert. Thank you. Addison Gilbert Hospital in Gloucester, and then she was transported down to um, Leahy Clinic in Burlington, where she died on Monday. So there, I'm sure there will be an investigation into that, but another reminder that scuba diving is not always there's risk involved, to say that. Also along the lines of hard news in Rockport, there is a planned demolition taking place at the DPW facility at 2 DPW Way upon Upper Main Street. They are conducting planned blasts to remove ledge at the DPW site. That was all planned. And while this happened, a day before that blasting project was to begin, there was an inadvertent, or rather an unplanned blast that happened also in Rockport on Jordan's Lane, at the very end of Jordan's Lane. You go down to the high school, you keep on going, and you get to this, you go through these woods and you get to this neighborhood where there's a big construction project taking place right now. There was an injury. It was a minor injury, but there was some rock that glanced off the head of one of the workers. He refused an ambulance transport, so it wasn't a serious injury, but still nonetheless. The blaster, or the demolition company, was finally a few days after a day or so after the event, was ID'd. It's a Charlton-based company called Rock Splitters Inc. I talked to the president of the company. He was he was very forthcoming. I had to give him credit for speaking with me. He said he didn't know exactly what happened because they'd already conducted a blast earlier in the morning. He said it went perfectly. This one, it damaged one of the workers' cars. Toyota just pretty much totaled it, and also heavily damaged two heavy pieces of equipment there, big excavators. Anyway, that story is done, and moving on to the last story I wanted to chat about. I'm sorry, Heather, what's that?
Hold on, I just want to ask you, I thought I
Yes.
saw an article about the investigation into that blast. Do you have any sort of information on that?
No, there was a follow. I did talk to press representative for the Mass Department of Fire Services that is investigating the blast. He told me there had not been any findings yet.
Okay.
So they're still looking into it.
Okay, great.
Um, on a
Manchester, back
some on a somewhat lighter note, it's not lighter in the sense of the neighbors that have to deal with it, but anyway, they have installed pickleball courts in Manchester. And the pickleball, I've never seen it. I've never heard it. I've never been around it. I play tennis, but um, apparently it's loud. The balls, they use a paddle that, and I guess there's a thwack sound when the balls hit. And I suppose it's fine if it just happens a couple of times, but they have 6 or 8 paddleball courts. It's on Summer Street in Manchester.
Mhm.
And there are neighbors that live nearby there, and the poor neighbors have had to contend with the sounds of the whacking pickleballs.
I don't mean,
So there are some mitigation efforts in place. There was the head of the I think the Recreation Committee, Parks and Recreation Department, had a presentation at the Manchester Select Board meeting, and there are a lot of ideas. Anything from anything as extravagant as a dome that would be placed over the building that would be very expensive, to damping technology that might be installed on the courts themselves, and possibly the paddles.
Stephen,
Who
are these
knows?
public courts? Are these owned
Yes,
by the town?
they
Okay,
are public courts owned by the town.
all right. And were they originally tennis courts? Do people turn tennis courts into pickleball courts? Is that what
I
happened?
don't know if they were I know they've been in place, I believe, don't hold me to this, but I think they've been there for a year.
Oh, okay.
But as far as what they were before, I don't know if they were tennis or just they were brand new courts. I don't know that.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Well, thank you. So
You're welcome.
I'll ask you follow-ups next week on all of those things. What's
Please do.
pickleball in Manchester? Okay, Ethan, you had a big story in today's paper about,
I don't think I can top the pickleball story.
yeah, well, that is a good one, I have to say. Yeah. And
It seems to be a big topic. I think I have to investigate that in Gloucester.
well, pickleball seems to be taking over the world.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine with me. I don't care.
every time I pick up a newspaper, there's something about a pickleball court. So I got to see this game. But you do have a good story about the city council in Gloucester. Do you want to tell us?
Yeah, it's election season, and people are pulling their candidates are pulling their nomination papers, and so I check in regularly with the city clerk, and I learned that Councillor Jamie O'Hara, who's seeking his 5th term, he's a popular councillor in this city, had pulled his
Counselor at
nomination.
large. Counselor at large, right?
Councillor at large. So when you run at large, you run, citywide. Had pulled his nomination papers through a proxy by basically requesting the city clerk give the notarized papers to the nomination papers to Tracy O'Neill. It was sent down to him.
Where?
And
Where was
down to, well, Pensacola, I believe.
So he requested from Pensacola, Florida, he requested his papers, nomination papers be handed to Tracy O'Neill, and she mailed them to Pensacola?
Well, the problem is this is what I know. So Jamie O'Hara has been basically working out of Gloucester, working on the road for a very long time.
He's been working on the road. What do you mean by that?
Well, he told me that he's been working for a retirement community, stopping leaks in buildings, basically. Yeah, that's his specialty. And not only has he been working in Pensacola, but he's gone to places like Texas and Puerto Rico. So he's been traveling around to jobs in other parts of the country. He's told me that he's also been back to Gloucester. He's been to New York, New Hampshire, so different locations around the country. So
His work requires
yeah,
a lot of traveling.
yeah, but it's not just like he's traveling there and coming home. He's there. He's on the road.
Is he?
That's as much as I can ascertain from him. That's what he's doing. so he's not, basically physically present in this, in the cities out, in Pensacola is one of the places where he is.
Mm.
And so, so basically he had to request the nomination papers be sent to him. They were notarized. He has to sign them because you have to sign the nomination papers. You have to sign them, sign with a notary, send it back, and then he authorized Tracy O'Neill, another resident, to collect signatures for him.
Oh, so Tracy O'Neill is collecting the signatures for his.
That's what the letter said. The letter to the city clerk. So she collect them, take them, and and return them. So that and I've heard for months that he was doing this, that he was not present in the city. So I can't, I say Pensacola. I said, well, I'm not really sure. Is he Pensacola? Is he? But I have seen him on meetings. I've seen him during one meeting in May on an airplane, taking part in a meeting on an airplane.
Yeah.
The headset on, you can hear the flight.
Yeah.
Going, he's been in his car, just like on the road. I mean, that's the way I'm going to use that to describe it. So constantly.
So given the fact that, because of COVID, all the meetings were remote, this is something that everyone was remote. But
Everyone's remote. It's not like, I don't know. I believe some counselors were out of state when they were taking part in meetings.
Right.
I know at least one counselor that was asked. So it's not like that's the problem. It's not the issue of people being remote, because the pandemic hit. We're all on Zoom.
Right.
We're on Zoom now. We're not in the studio.
On Zoom. Yeah.
So, but the issue is it's not so much of it's not a residency issue, and because it's vague. I mean, his residence, he hasn't changed his residence with the city clerk. His voter registration is here.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a house on Lexington Avenue in Magnolia. And if you look at like past case law, the most famous case law, I didn't put this in my article, is Mitt Romney.
Oh yeah.
You're supposed to run for governor. You're supposed to live for 7 years in the state. And for 2 of those years, he was living in Salt Lake City. And I guess if I had filed tax returns, I found an old article about this. And the Democrats had challenged this to the Ballot Law Commission, saying, hey, so he filed tax returns in Salt Lake City in Utah, but his intent was to return. Where's your intent to return? Where are you returning to? So the law is kind of murky. So if Council O'Hara is just living out of a suitcase for extended periods of time, what this really boils down to in this political season, and what I was hearing from some fellow counselors, is this is up to the voters. Do they like this arrangement? And some have spoken out and said he's an effective counselor. Councilor O'Neill said he's got his thumb on the pulse of the city, and he's actually emailed me many times with issues that he thinks are important that we should be covering. He regularly attends the meetings. It's not like he's not attending his meetings. Now the other sort of red flag on this was this city council. The city council can't meet in person. They're looking for a venue that's big enough for them to hold a meeting so that residents can take part. That there's just very few places in Gloucester where they could do this and then be in Zoom.
Yeah, because Kairos.
Because Kairos has been offline. There was a fire in City Hall in May, which kind of somewhat delayed, but but they had to fill the place with scaffolding, so you can't hold a meeting. So they've been trying to get the technological upgrade so they can allow for Zoom. You can take part in Zoom. You can be in person. Residents can be in person. Council can be in person. They like the Zoom, so this kind of extended the council not going back in person for whatever reason. I'm not criticizing the council, but this is as a circumstance.
Is he on the ordinance committee?
Yeah, he's on the ordinances and administration committee, and that has been meeting in person. So I went back and I looked at all the meetings since November, and he was never in person. He was never in the harbor master's office. And Ward 3 Councilor Frank Majota and Ward 5 Councilor Sean Nolan are sitting in the room, and sometimes other officials are coming in to testify to sit in the room, and Councilor O'Hara will be remote, and that's at least I can document that back to November.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so that's, you know, again, up to the voters to decide. I'm not, it's just people are sort of questioning, have been questioning to me for a long time saying, what about this? Not question, but it's like, no one's questioning his efficacy as a counselor, his ability to talk to constituents. He's been in ward meetings, you know, but via speakerphone. So he's, you know, it's kind of participatory democracy.
Yeah.
And we have this technology now, speakerphones, FaceTime, all that good stuff. But you know, I think I'm just trying to it's something that people have been pointing out to me for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting now that this issue has emerged publicly to see how he goes into election season, because there will be many debates.
Yeah, and so I'll give a perspective on this. Former state rep Ted Speliotis. I don't know if you know him from Danvers,
Mhm.
longtime state rep, and he was in some very tight races. But one of the things that he was very good at is going door to door.
Right.
Going door to door. He knew how to go door to door. He knew how to greet residents, and he would do it. And his guy was he had a high state level he was on the he was a chairman of a committee at the time, but he was going door to door, going door to door in Danvers. Everyone knows him. Everyone knew him. So that, you know, you gotta really be present to I think to run locally.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how it shakes out. So if we want to talk about the races, how they're shaping up. So on Tuesday, we have the deadline for the papers to be submitted. Now it might take a day or two to figure out who's really on the ballot. You know, they have to go through the signatures and certify the nomination papers. But we have a rundown to incumbents like Tony Gross and for council at large, Jason Grow, incumbent, resident Norman J. Kalelis. O'Hara has filed his nomination papers. They got to get his signature. I think it's 150 signatures to be council at large. Chris Sikaranza, have you heard of Chris Sikaranza? He was the former aide to Mansfatia, and Jeff Worthley as well, an incumbent now on the council. And so that's how the council at large is shaping up. And then for race for mayor is shaping up to be very interesting. You have the former Gloucester Health Department director.
Oh, Mary Ellen.
Is Mary Ellen Rose.
Right.
She's pulled papers, and I believe she might be actually on the ballot. I have the list here.
Yeah.
Mayor Greg Verga was seeking a second term.
Mhm.
Longtime school committee member and city councilor in the past.
Mhm.
Both of those potential candidates are Gloucester natives. Francisco Sclafani has also pulled papers, resident. He's kind of somebody who runs every year. And Ward 2.
Oh, you muted.
Yeah, oh, sorry about that. You know, I gotta get
Yeah.
the Ward
Last
2 councilor Tracy O'Neill. Now she's been redistricted out of her ward. She no longer lives in Ward 2. She served the charter allows for you to serve out the rest of your term. She's now in Ward 1, and she has pulled nomination papers for mayor. So I think, you know, this would be great if we could get a big race for mayor, you know.
collecting signatures for herself for mayor, and then also for Jamie O'Hara for
You know what? It's like the signature collecting process. You just get people to go out and collect signatures. I don't think that's a big deal. You know, I think to get 150, 300 signatures for mayor, I believe.
300. Okay. Well, that'll be finalized sometime after next Tuesday.
Because the deadline's Tuesday, and I think the board has to certify the signatures. You know, it's very tricky. You might get a signature, but it might not be somebody who lives in your ward if you're a ward councilor.
Right.
Or if you go to Market Basket, you know, there's got a lot of people from Rockport
Oh,
who shop there. A lot of people from around Cape Ann, Manchester, and everything. You'd be surprised. So tourists who come in and need to go shopping.
yeah.
So that's why I talk about the physical presence. It's like probably the best way to get signatures, if you really want to do it, is you just got to walk the streets with a clipboard, and it takes a lot of time. But you'll know if, especially in the wards, that you're getting the proper signatures. So good luck to the candidates. Good luck to Jamie and all the people who are running. I always say that to candidates. They say, who's going to win? I say, I don't know, 50-50. 2 people on the ballot, 50-50.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a fun season. You know,
Gonna be, yeah, very busy. A lot of there's active races in Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, and Ward 4.
right.
So we'll see if they all get their papers in and get certified and all that good
Wait, how
stuff.
about school committee? Who's running on, or do we have new?
School committee, yeah. I mean, the incumbents are running, except
Samantha, Watson,
yes,
right?
yeah, Sam Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess she
Yeah.
was going to run for her third term.
Yeah.
So she was kind of a little bit of a fixture on school committee. You got Kathleen Clancy, the chair.
Mhm.
Bill Melvin, who's I think running for his second term, and Keith Allen Minio, I think also too is running again.
Yeah.
And Melissa Prince, I think she's been a long time member. She's also running for another term. And Laura Weeson is also on the ballot. She's actually on the ballot. Some newcomers are coming into it. Jeremy Mark McKeon and Richard John Roberts Jr. So these are so it's going to be a race for school committee, and we'll see how, if everyone gets their papers in, there's going to be a little bit of a race there too. So
Right. All right. Well, let's have a feel good story.
they're all feel good stories.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, but you wrote a really nice one about Jack Meany and the YMCA and senior housing in downtown Gloucester this week.
Yeah, and that story is really great because it's really kind of a personal story for the president of the CEO of the North Shore YMCA, Chris Lavasco. He's a Gloucester kid, well, probably about my age. And he knew Jack Meany way back when he was 15 years old, first met him in the old Y building there, and that's where his office was, and a mentor to Chris Lavasco. And so over the years, Jack Meany has been responsible for the Y here and elsewhere now, the YMCA of the North Shore, constructing affordable housing.
Yeah.
Sort of bringing the YMCA back to its roots of the old dormitories. Remember,
Yeah.
They've done improvements. The YMCA of the North Shore has done improvements to their housing in Beverly, to downtown Beverly on Cabot Street. And they have, I think, I believe something like 300. 350 units. I'm sorry, I don't have the number, but about 600 people living in Y housing on the North Shore, and it was all because of Jack. And Jack got up during a beam signing ceremony last Tuesday, and he said, you know what? He says, we learned all this expertise about low income housing tax credits. We have to use them.
Wow.
So that's what they've been doing. They've been continuing to use. These are not easy projects. They always have projects in the pipeline. This one is going to be 44 units of senior affordable housing right downtown on Middle Street. So it's going to be a great project.
Yeah.
Very tough project too, as Mr. Lavasco pointed out, that they found boulders and contaminated soil when they took down that old Y.
Oh yeah.
But
right.
I'm sure, and it's it's the financing for it's very tricky too. So.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a great project.
Well, I think Jack Meany is a legend on Cape Ann for sure. He's done some great things. And is there a new
here? Yeah.
Is there a new name for this building?
Yeah, it's the John J. Meany Affordable Senior Housing Project. His name will be on the building, and it was really great too because he was there and he signed his name on the beam, for the beam signing ceremony. Then his young grandson was there and he helped him out, and it was signed his name, little kid. Yeah. And so it was really sweet. Very good story for Gloucester, for Cape Ann. Yeah,
just good people here, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a great project. Senior housing downtown, walkable. It'll bring some life to more life to the downtown.
Oh yeah, since the Y has been gone, the downtown has felt kind of quiet.
Yeah, this will be a great. And there's gonna be they're putting an event venue down there too, so it's gonna be hopping.
Yeah, you're talking about the Cut.
The Cut, yeah.
Okay, so do a story on that so I can find out what's going on there.
I already did a story about it.
Oh, you did? I missed it.
Yeah.
Right, what's going on at the Cut?
Oh yeah, they're building an event venue down there. To be a restaurant, event venue.
This is in the old CVS?
Yeah, in the old CVS building, yeah. The project's ongoing right now. And they came before I think they came before the council.
So what kind of event?
For their initial
performance,
concert. And there's going to be a recording studio there too, which is great for the mayor.
Yes.
Mayor Berger has an award-winning show on 1623 Studios called Music with the Mayor.
There you go, exactly.
And the mayor is a really super accomplished bass and guitar player. So
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be doing some recording down there as well. So we'll see that. So more life on Main Street.
Nice, nice. All right. Good stories today, you guys. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. And we'll see you next week.
We will.
All right.
Heather, take care. Have a good week.
Okay, you too. Take care. Interested in a sponsorship? Email sponsor@1623studios.org to learn more.